Watches are not made to tell time, or rather their use is not limited to telling the time. You see, watches have always been what we call functional jewellery. They are a way for men to express themselves. Yes, a status symbol. Watches are pretty objects that aren't just pretty. That is why men, from A-lister celebrities to giants of the corporate and business world, are willing to spend a lot of cash on them. Trust us, you probably won't believe the price tag of the watches we review today. From timepieces with incredible complications to historical wristwatches that once belonged to prominent people, these are the most expensive pieces of horology in no particular order. First is the Chopard LUC all-in-one Janus watch that costs $451,239. Now, Chopard is well recognized as a pioneer in the luxury watch industry. The brand's LUC Full Strike won the Watch of the Year award of the 2017 Geneva Watchmaking Grand Prix, and the following year they released a similarly styled, albeit no less exciting, watch at a similarly high price. The LUC all-in-one fuses famed legend with the uniqueness of its product line. Interestingly, only 10 of each watch were made, manufactured in rose gold and platinum. But the inspiration behind them is something that you will probably recognize. This watch was designed to represent, or should we say evoke, the Roman god Janus, who is known for having two faces. What's even more interesting about this one is its features. Come on! Features like a perpetual calendar, astronomical readings, and a tourbillon, a complicated spinning mechanical device that requires great talent to make, add to its divine appearance on the inside as well. It may cost a whopping $451,239 or more, depending on the exchange rate really, but it's safe to say you can't put a price on having access to the divine, right? Then we have the Lange und Söhne Grand Complication that goes for $2.5 million. So, the Lange und Söhne Grand Complication, introduced in 2013, is the company's most expensive timepiece to date. The worth of the intricate wristwatch is based on the many moving parts and mechanisms that go into its construction, which took a little over a year to achieve. The watch's gold casing protects 876 intricately moving pieces. Can you believe that? It has a 50mm diameter and a 20mm depth. Also, it features a split-second chronograph, a minute repeater, a grand and a petite sonnerie, and a perpetual calendar with moon phases. Up next is the Bulgari Magsonic Sonnery Tourbillon watch, which costs $559,816. Folks, the Magsonic Sonnery Tourbillon is the most famous and, might we add, lucrative product to come out of the merger between Italian jewellery giant Bulgari and Swiss watchmaker Girard-Perregaux. An array of chimes with the sound reportedly improved by a special Magsonic alloy are just some of the ultra-complicated features included in this loud and proud piece. So it is safe to say it will have as big an effect on your bank account as it does on your wrist at $559,816. So we move on to the Rolex Paul Newman Reference 6264 John Player Special that costs $1,381,156. The Rolex Reference 6264 is rumoured to be one of just 10 pieces ever produced in black and yellow gold, earning it the nickname John Player Special, from the colours of the Lotus car sponsored by John Player Special in Formula One. It's even more unusual to find even a single one for sale. The Paul Newman Daytona sold for an astounding $1,381,156 at a Sotheby's auction, shattering the previous record for the highest price ever paid for a timepiece at a UK auction, which had previously been set at $722,430. Then, of course, we have the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Grand Complication that costs a whopping $892,920. Now, folks, when it comes to creating watches with mind-boggling complications of complications, Girard-Perregaux has been at it longer than any other brand. However, the grand complication is unquestionably the best of its kind. Everything on the inside was painstakingly finished by hand, from the intricate cuts and bead blasting to the polished bevels and matte finish. In addition, there is a plethora of other functions, such as a minute repeater, perpetual calendar, and chronograph that measures up to a split second. What's more, it's a sight for sore eyes. The titanium version costs almost $843,021, but is it possible to qualify the value of good taste? Anyway, let's talk about the Hublot Big Bang diamond that costs $5 million. Now, the Hublot Big Bang may be exactly up your alley if you're looking for a flashy timepiece. The New York City jeweler with 40 years of experience used his skills to hand-cut each of the 1,280 3-carat diamonds on this piece. You may have heard of it before now because Beyoncé gave it to her husband Jay-Z for his 43rd birthday, and it's about as lavish as a present can be. Up next is the Franck Muller Eternatus Mega 4 that's priced at $2,167,569. Well, we must say, the Franck Muller Eternatus can leave you befuddled thanks to its 36 complexity, 1,483 unique components, 1,000-year calendar, and abundance of other eccentric elements. Even watch enthusiasts think this watch is too good, and they dub the Swiss watchmaker the master of complications. All because of the Mega 4 model, which packs an incredible amount of functions inside its glass sapphire case, back and dial-mounted tourbillon. Now for one of our absolute favourites, the Louis Monet Mitteris collection that's priced at $4,218,550. So, the extravagant cost of the Mitteris collection is a fitting tribute to Louis Monet, the 18th century-born father of chronograph watches. More so, there are 4 different timepieces in the set, and their dials are embellished with meteorite fragments and other precious stones. You see, watches like the Tourbillon Mars, which features a genuine meteorite from Mars that crashed to Earth 180 million years ago, feature a rare piece of space rock. To sum up, pretty unique. Prices for Martian meteorites have been known to reach $1,000 per gram, and that's about 15 times that of gold. It's as close as you can get to space without actually flying on a Virgin Galactic spaceship with Richard Branson or flying with Elon Musk. Up next is a well-known watch. The Paul Newman Rolex Daytona is priced at $17.6 million. First off, this one is a truly unique timepiece, but here's the story of the watch. Actor Paul Newman had a deep interest in both timekeeping and racing. This watch was a present from his wife to him in recognition of all the things he loves. The unusual black and cream dial of this timepiece is a standout feature. Then, the exotic dial was only installed in about 1 in every 20 Daytonas at first, and that was due to its poor demand. But things got wild when Mr. Newman was photographed wearing the timepiece while pursuing his racing career. The auction price skyrocketed, and today the watch is on every most expensive watch list. Then we have the Girard-Perregaux Quasar Light Tourbillon, which costs $361,782. You may not know this, but the light version is one of only 18 iconic Quasar models ever produced, the result of which doesn't seem particularly remarkable, but then again, the most prestigious watch brands regularly employ such tactics. The tourbillon mechanism of the Girard-Perregaux justifies the watch's hefty price tag of $361,782. It required more than 200 hours of labour, hundreds of procedures, and 200 years of refined skills. Costs might add up quickly when hiring someone with that level of expertise. So it kind of makes sense, you know? Oh, then we have the Patek Philippe Henry Graves super complication that costs a whopping, and we mean a whopping, $18,528,845. That's more than the Paul Newmans we know. But when they called this piece super complication, they weren't kidding. Anyway, Patek Philippe claims that their new watch is the most complex timepiece ever created without the aid of computers in the design and production processes. In 1925, banker and watch collector Henry Graves placed the order for this one-of-a-kind timepiece, which features 920 components, including 430 screws, 110 wheels, and 70 diamonds. Graves panicked after spending $15,000 on his watch during the Great Depression. It was way too much for his finances at the time, and some people were willing to go to extraordinary lengths to steal his watch. What's even more interesting about the story is the fact that his daughter talked him out of just dropping it into the lake on his property. Once in December 1999, it was sold at Sotheby's in New York for $9 million to Sheikh Saud bin Mohammed Al Thani of the Qatari royal family. And once again in November 2014, it was sold following his death, setting 2 auction records. The price of $24 million at the time was a record for any watch. People would go to great lengths to own luxury pieces, and watches would forever be objects that men would be willing to break the bank for. So for those cringing at the idea of spending a lot of cash on a luxury watch, let us say this using the famous words of Coco Chanel: "Luxury is a necessity that begins when necessity ends."